There were some brilliant fixtures last weekend in the Premier League, so let's go through them. First of all, Villa against Brighton. I thought it would be a tight game. It could go either way. It really wasn't. I'm not surprised that Villa won, even though I went for a Brighton win. I'm just surprised at the manner in which they did it. 6-1 to Villa is incredible. I know I said before the game, these two sides are kind of similar, kind of following each other at breaking into the Big Six. Brighton do it in a different way because they recruit well and don't spend too much money. Villa just throw money at everything and, are quite big spenders. But what a brilliant performance that was from Villa. And, it's kind of making me see that Brighton do have a few cracks now because the results aren't really there at the moment for them. They are struggling a little bit. I don't know whether that's fixture congestion, but Villa are really, really getting into gear now. Then we move on. Luton picking up their first win of the season against Everton. So Luton are the first side out of the three to come up to get a win. It's their first ever win in the Premier League. And they're away against another team that's going to be down there come the end of the season. So a really, really vital 3 points for Luton to be picking up there. Brilliant performance. Also, Palace beating Man United. Didn't really see it coming even though Man United are struggling. Wolves beating Man City. Man City have won all of their games so far this season. And then it's not just a draw. They're no longer an undefeated side. They've lost that game against Wolves. Brilliant performance from Wolves in that one. And Man City are slipping up slightly now after going out of the Carabao Cup the game before. And then we've got the controversial Tottenham win against Liverpool, the 2-1. It's been in the news all week because Luis Diaz's goal should have stood. It was ruled out for offside. There was a lot of confusion on the pitch. And Liverpool will feel hard done by. But all this talk of a replay is absolute nonsense because a lot of poor decisions have been given in the past and a lot of them have meant a lot more than what it meant in that game. People have been relegated because of technology failures and poor refereeing decisions. People have lost out on a lot of money. They've lost titles, all that sort of stuff. So it's really not. It's not a replayable thing. I don't really think anything's a replayable thing unless it's pure corruption. It's not corruption. It was a mistake. And mistakes happen. And as unfortunate as it is for Liverpool, they just have to move on from it. Hope it doesn't happen again. That referee, Darren England, won't be on any Liverpool games for the rest of the season. If they don't think he's fit enough to referee, he shouldn't be on any Premier League games because it might happen again to someone else. However, Liverpool have got a little bit of justice by the fact that they won't have him again, but they will feel very, very hard done by because that would have put them 1-0 up. So that's it for a quick review of the Premier League last weekend. Let's get into these predictions and hopefully we can get some scores right. And we start with Luton against Spurs, the early kick-off on Saturday. Luton just picked up their first win of the season to move them out of the relegation zone. However, they did lose in a rescheduled fixture in midweek 2-1 against Burnley. And I believe that may have pushed them back in. So that was unfortunate for Luton, but when they were at home against Burnley, I kind of didn't think they'd lose. So bit of a shock there. But Spurs, brilliant form, still undefeated, beat Liverpool last weekend, drew with Arsenal the weekend before that. I think Spurs will win this one, but I think Luton might make it difficult, and some Spurs players may be slightly intimidated because it's not a usual atmosphere that they're going to find themselves in. Being at Kenilworth Road, it will be quite strange and maybe take them a while to get into the game. Spurs to win it though, 2-1. Burnley take on Chelsea. Now Burnley did pick up their first win in midweek, that rescheduled fixture against Luton. Burnley won it 2-1 and they'll be hoping that they can push on from here. But they're up against a Chelsea side that have just managed to get their second win of the season, a 2-0 away at Fulham, 2 goals coming in the space of a minute. And part of me thinks that Chelsea could kick on, but part of me also thinks that Fulham aren't looking like they're full of much threat at the moment. And Burnley, they do have some nice passages of play, nice attacking movement. They're just not too clinical. So maybe Burnley will come into a bit of form, which is why for this one, a lot of people might think Chelsea will be back to winning ways and build up some winning runs, but I'm going to go down the middle instead, 1-1. Everton find themselves against another team that will be down there with them by the end of the season. They are at home against Bournemouth. And after picking up their first Premier League win of the season in a 3-1 against Brentford, following it up by knocking Aston Villa out of the Carabao Cup, and then in the league following it up by losing 2-1 at home to Luton. Poor play from Everton. I thought they'd set up for a draw because they tend to go quite pessimistically into like relegation threatened games, but they just straight up lost it. So very bad from Everton there to give Luton their first win. And Bournemouth are another side searching for their first win, so maybe Everton will do it again. Bournemouth, not great form. They haven't got the win, but they're struggling to score as well. Lost 4-0 to Arsenal last time. But I do like some of their attacking players, so I am going to go for the Cherries to get their first win. Everton just handing them out. Bournemouth to win 2-1. Fulham face Sheffield United. And whilst Fulham are quite inconsistent, struggling to score goals since Mitrovic's departure, and they lost their last one 2-0 against Chelsea, Sheffield United haven't won a game yet, bottom of the league on 1 point. That point came from a draw against Everton. What a surprise there, Everton giving out more points, but they don't look good. So whilst I don't really favour either of these sides at the moment, I've got to back Fulham based on Sheffield United being so poor. So Fulham to win 1-0. Man United take on Brentford. Now Man United have picked up 3 wins and 4 losses out of their first 7. So poor start from Man United. They lost their last league game against Crystal Palace. They've lost both of their opening Champions League fixtures against Bayern Munich and Galatasaray. They don't have an identity, as I seem to say every week, and they are really struggling this season. They haven't started well at all. A positive is that Rasmus Højlund looks like a pretty good pickup. He's just a younger Haaland, really. He's got pace, he's got power when he's running, he's a good finisher, great link-up play, which is something that Haaland sometimes shows, but sometimes he can look a little bit clumsy on the ball. So Højlund is looking like a brilliant buy and a great long-term solution for their striker problems, but they're just struggling in every other area of the pitch. Brentford, not a great start, averaging a point per game, and they haven't won in their last 5 league meetings. They drew against Forest 1-1 last time out, and I just don't think Brentford are looking great at the moment. I thought they'd be okay with that Ivan Toney, but Mbeumo has seemed to go off it a little bit recently. Wissa struggles to hit the target a lot of the time when them two were brilliant last season. So I'm not sure what's happened to Brentford's front line, but I am going to go for a Man United win. I'm going to back them to make it 4 wins, 4 losses. So United to win 2-1. Palace face Brentford next. And whilst Palace did beat Man United 1-0 away in their last game, I just think this has a draw written all over it. Forest have drawn 2 out of their last 3. And I just don't really see much separating these two sides. So I am going to go for a 1-1. Brighton against Liverpool. Now these fixtures last season were brilliant. Brighton doing the double over Liverpool, and they were in brilliant form then, and they started the season well, but the last few games they have seemed to have holes in their team. In all competitions, Brighton's last 5 fixtures, they've only won 1 of them. However, in those last 5 fixtures, they've only played 2 league games. So basing it on the league, it was a 3-1 win against Bournemouth and then that 6-1 loss against Villa last weekend. I'm not sure whether that will make Brighton lose a bit of confidence. They have just finished their game in the Europa League as well, so maybe some tired legs out there. It was a 2-2 draw away at Marseille, which is not a bad result at all. They were 2-0 down after conceding 2 goals in a minute, but Brighton, I'm thinking that the fixtures might pile up because they've got a lot of attacking rotation players, but defensively, they kind of have to play Dunk and Van Heck, probably a Stupinan as well, to have a chance in a lot of these games. So it's going to be difficult to be playing them all the time, and I think that will lead to some poor results. Liverpool lost 2-1 against Spurs in that controversial matchup. However, they can take some positives from it. They were down to 9 men and they nearly got a draw against Spurs. So they defended very, very well. They were very resolute, hard to beat. They didn't look like winning it at any point. But if they'd have hung in that game, what a performance that would have been, considering, after they went down to 9 men, brilliant performance. Obviously, getting to 9 men is not good. But they dealt with the circumstances pretty well and nearly nicked a point. But that did put an end to their 19-game Premier League unbeaten run. Unfortunate for them, but they'll be hoping to reset here. I've just got a feeling I am going to back Brighton a little bit because I just think they're great, and I really think that I favour them going into most games. So I'm going to go down the middle, an exciting draw, 2-2. West Ham face Newcastle. This looks to be a good game. West Ham, great form. They've played 7 in the league. They lost to Man City and Liverpool, but in the other 5, they've won 4, drawn 1. So West Ham against everyone else have been very, very strong, and they're picking up wins against everyone but the big 6, really. So great. Well, one of them was a win against Chelsea as well, even though they haven't been in great form. So West Ham have started the season brilliantly. Ward-Prowse in great form. No idea how he hasn't been selected for the England team. Jared Bowen been great as well, and he has been picked. But Ward-Prowse will feel hard done by that. But I think that's an issue for a different video about the England squad. West Ham started great. And Newcastle, what a week and a half it's been for them. Beating Sheffield United 8-0 at the weekend. Then knocking Man City out of the Carabao Cup with a 1-0 win. Then at the weekend, they won 2-0 against Burnley. And then midweek, their first Champions League home fixture for about 20 years. And they win 4-1 against PSG. What a performance. Newcastle aren't going to lose many games in that Champions League. So if they can win their 3 home games, they will get through that group. Because AC Milan have drawn both so far. Dortmund have drawn 1, lost 1. All they need is to win their home games and they'll pretty much be there. So I think Newcastle will get out of that group, and I'd love to see them do it. In this one, it's so tough to call. I think it could go either way. Newcastle, though, I've just got to back them because some of the results they're pulling out at the moment are brilliant. So Newcastle to win, 2-1. Wolves against Villa, kind of a West Midlands derby. They might not like it being called that, but it pretty much is. Wolves, they were in pretty poor form, not clinical, but they beat Man City 2-1. What a performance. Did not see it coming at all. Great victory at the Molineux. And can they go and get more points here? Now Villa picked up their 10th straight Premier League home win in a row, which is 30 points out of 30 at home is very good going from Unai Emery and the team. And it was a resounding victory, 6-1 over Brighton. I couldn't believe it. I didn't watch the game, I was out, but I just kept seeing the score pop up on my phone. I could not believe what I was seeing. I watched the highlights and Villa were very, very good, as much as I hate to say it. However, this game could suit Wolves, mainly due to the fact Villa will have a lot of the ball. Wolves haven't been clinical for about 3 years, but they were clinical at the weekend on the counter, and if Villa are going to have a lot of the ball, Wolves will have a bit of confidence to maybe go and hit them on the counter and get a couple of goals. I think it's going to be tighter than most would think. I think a lot of people will back Villa, but Villa haven't been amazing away from home either this season. They've obviously been better at home. So I am actually going to go for maybe a bit of a surprise, but a 1-1 draw. And the last 3 fixtures have been very exciting, but none will be as big as this one. Last season's two title competitors, Arsenal against Man City, and I think it's key that it's at the Emirates. Now, Arsenal have been in very, very strong form, but they did lose in the Champions League in midweek to RC Lens. Didn't see that one coming. They did lose Bukayo Saka to injury in that game as well, which is something that they will not want to see, because I think he will miss this game along with Martinelli, who is already sidelined. So two of that normal front three will be missing for this game. But they've been very good in the league. They're sitting third, but they're joint with Spurs in second on points and goal difference. So pretty similar records so far. And they are sniffing at the heels of Man City, who are top of the league. Did hit a bit of a rough couple of games. They won all their games this season. Then they lost 1-0 in the Carabao Cup to Newcastle, but they had a very changed team, so we'll let them off for that. But they did lose 2-1 to Wolves at the weekend. Didn't see it coming. Got back to winning ways 3-1 against Leipzig midweek. But at one stage it was 1-1. And if not for late substitutions of Alvarez and Doku, that result probably doesn't happen, because they both made a massive impact, each getting a goal and an assist for each other. So that was a good pairing to see. I'm wondering whether we'll be able to see it again this weekend. But they will be missing Rodri. So some very big players missing, because De Bruyne's out as well. So Man City missing two of their main midfielders, Rodri and De Bruyne. Arsenal missing their main two wingers, Martinelli and Saka, means this could be a very interesting game. And as much as I want to back Arsenal in this one, to be fair, not because I prefer them to win, I just got a feeling they might sneak it. But I am going to go sensible but exciting, 2-2. So those are my predictions for this weekend's fixtures. And that Sunday, I know they call it Super Sunday, but that is one of the best Super Sundays I've seen for a while. Some brilliant games on, and hopefully they will provide great entertainment. Let me know what your predictions are down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.